Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 12th episode of the Asian Football Show and the second episode of our AFC Asian Cup podcast series. So, today we're going to be reviewing the games that happened in Matchday 1, with the last game actually just ending a few minutes ago, which was Saudi Arabia versus Oman. And then after that, we're going to be previewing the Matchday 2 games. As always, I'm joined by my good friend here, Arya. Arya, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing very well. I mean, how could you not be doing well after such games have just finished? We've been waiting for this tournament for a while, and it's lived up as expected, to be honest. Maybe not as many shocks, as many surprises, but the games and the goals have definitely been there.
I agree.
Okay, so let's just get straight into it. Um, so the tournament kicked off on the 12th of January with the host Qatar taking on Lebanon at the Lusail Iconic Stadium. This game ended 3-0 in favor of Qatar. Lebanon just lost it, especially after conceding the first goal. They played decently until they conceded, but after Akram Afif got that goal, they just didn't didn't know where to go from there. Almoez Ali also got his 10th goal in the AFC Asian Cups, closing in on Ali Dai's 14 goal record. And the other game in the group was China versus Tajikistan. It ended 0-0. And this game was very controversial because China had a perfectly normal goal, it seems, disallowed for offside, as one of the Chinese forwards was supposedly holding on to a Tajiki defender. But to me, that should have been a goal, and I didn't see anything wrong. So yeah, what do you make of Group A, Arya?
Yeah, Group A was very, very nice. Had some pretty, like you said, the China game was a very weird game, and the Qatar against Lebanon game, was expecting more of a fight from Lebanon, but they just they seemed to had just stopped after the first goal that Akram Afif scored in the 45th minute. Which shout out Akram Afif, by the way, had a fantastic game. Two goals in that game, and Almaz Ali as well with a goal and assist. But like I said, Lebanon, I mean, they did look threatening in some cases, not in all, but I think it's safe to say that we really all expecting more of a fight from them, in which they did not really give out. For Australia and India, I mean, this is not Group A, sorry, it's Group B. Let me get back to Group A. China and Tajikistan. Now that is a game where I watched in its entirety, and I will be saying this: Tajikistan were this close of producing something special. China weren't that impressive, to be completely honest. I think they kind of switched their gears up towards the end of the game where they got that disallowed goal. But Tajikistan did show some promise, which I'm very interested to see what they're going to do against Qatar in the next game. So, what do you think, Irfan?
Yeah, and keep in mind that this was Tajikistan's first ever game at an Asian Cup, so they are the only team making their debut, and they were impressive. Yeah, I think Group A, it's kind of what we expected. Qatar, the host, taking the lead. I think China, Tajikistan, and Lebanon all have a good chance of going through as a second place team. Okay, so I think that's it from Group A, unless there's anything you want to add, Arya.
No, not anything
Okay,
really.
so Group B, first we had Australia, the 2015 champions, taking on India. And now I really want to talk about this game because, wow, India, especially in the first half, a masterclass. Amazing defending. They even almost scored a few times. I remember they had a good header chance around the 30th or so minute. And it wasn't until a Gurprit mistake at the 50th minute when Jackson Irvin, who plays in the second Bundesliga, I think, he opened the scoring. And then later on the game, Jordan Boss just finished the game off. But yeah, like I said, India really surprised me. They played much better than I thought. I thought the game was going to finish maybe 4-0, 5-0 to Australia. And I also want to give a big shout out to Jengan, who's a defender. Amazing player, just absolutely bossed it. What do you think, Arya?
Yeah, I think everyone's expecting Australia to absolutely smash India with a huge, huge score line. But India really did hold their own, which does show signs of promise that maybe, just maybe, they can do something in this tournament. Because 2-0, like I said, is really not a bad result. And when I'm looking at this Australia team, there's a few questions that I'm asking myself. So this 2-0 win, was it really an India masterclass where they were able to not concede as many goals as they probably should have, or is it an Australia side that was underwhelming? And would people still put Australia as one of the favorites for this Asian Cup after that performance? What would you say to that, Irfan?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think one thing that maybe Australia is missing right now is a good striker or a good finisher. Before in other tournaments they had the likes of Tim Cahill, but yeah, they had some good forwards historically, and this year it just doesn't seem to be there. I think maybe that's one thing that they're missing this tournament. They did recently neutralize a 36-year-old Uruguayan player who played in their domestic league for a few years. So I don't know how that's gonna work out for them. I don't know if it's gonna help with their football at all. I mean, he's 36. Wouldn't it have been better if they gave maybe a younger player? We all know Daniel Arzani. He's been doing decent in the A League as well. So wouldn't it have been better if he was called up? What do you think, Arya?
Has Iran Kunda been called up? No, he hasn't, right?
I don't think so.
He's way too young, but I mean, if you're
Yeah,
gonna call up a 36-year-old, why not call up a Nestor Iran Kunda who's been it's been just on fire, man. The next game is Uzbekistan and Syria. Another game that I would say that's kind of a little bit of a shocker for some because I think everyone, is always saying Uzbekistan is a dark horse, right? And they're going to be there, they're going to win their games. But they didn't look particularly too threatening against Syria. I mean, they are missing their best player in Elo Shumrodov. That's huge, very huge. That's like, you know, Argentina losing Messi, essentially. They're losing their best player. And is it now become a case of without Shomurodov, Uzbekistan isn't able to score really? Because the striker, which I believe was Uranov, Oston Uranov plays for Novbahor, was pretty disappointing. Um, I think there's a few players in that Uzbek team that were really good. Shukurov was really good. Masharipov was good. Khazanov was good, the defender. But for the most part, I mean, it did look a little bit worrying. I mean, if I'm supporting the Uzbekistan national team, and that's certainly not what a dark horse is, right? Tying 0-0 to Syria, it's not a good result for them at all. And Syria, they were they weren't horrible, they weren't amazing. Um, they did, like I said, hold their own, which is nice to see. And Hector Cooper, man, this guy is a genius in in defending. And one thing that I will say this is I don't understand why Hector Cooper didn't start Omar Kharbin, and I don't understand why Katanec didn't start Fazulayev and Sergev because when Fazulayev came in the second half, I feel like he was constantly the one actually trying to do something for Uzbekistan. I don't know. The starting lineups for both squads were a little bit questionable.
yeah, I agree with you there, and some questionable lineups as well. And yeah, Hector Cooper, the journeyman who went and going from Egypt to Uzbekistan. Actually, also previously he did manage them for a year or two, and yeah, now to Syria. And yeah, he just enjoys defending, doesn't he? So that's it for Group C. Australia current Group B, I mean, yeah. Australia currently top. Syria and Uzbekistan tied on a point each with India bottom. Moving on to Group C, the group of death. Well, not really, but Iran is in this group, as well as UAE, Hong Kong, and Palestine. So first, yeah, let's go through the UAE game first. UAE played against Hong Kong at the Khalifa International Stadium. The game ended 3-1 for the UAE, but I don't think the score represents the game at all. Hong Kong surprised me. Now, before the tournament started, I said to myself, oh, they're the worst team going into this tournament. I don't think they'll do anything. Maybe they'll not even score a goal. Three losses, that's what I thought. But then after UAE scored a goal through Sultan Adel, who actually got his first goal for the UAE, the 19-year-old who plays in Ittihad Kalba. Then Chan Sui Kwan, the Hong Kong player, scored the equalizer in the 49th minute. And what's crazy is that the first ever goal at the Asian Cup was scored by a player from Hong Kong. And this was the 1000th goal scored at the Asian Cup. So the script is crazy, but it's true. That's what happened. UAE then went on to get two more goals through Sultan Azabi, and Yahya Al Ghassani, who also scored a penalty late on. A very well won penalty by himself, actually. Hong Kong did get a goal later on. It was 3-2, but then unfortunately for them, it got disallowed. So yeah, what do you think of Hong Kong, Arya? Do you think they've they proved us wrong?
I definitely agree with you. I will say this: I find it really unfortunate that Michael Udebuduzor's goals was disallowed because that could have meant a lot. Yeah, I remember you saying in the last podcast that they're going to be the worst team in a tournament. They didn't play like they were the worst team at all. Gives them hope for the next game. Um, and yeah, the UAE, I would say for the first like half, they weren't like necessarily that great either. I was kind of disappointed in them, but then I think in the second half they got their stuff together, and that's when they started to fully go at Hong Kong. So it's a good result for the UAE. It's a good result for Hong Kong as well. I think everyone was expecting them to lose by more, and they did score two goals, one of them being disallowed. So, like you said in the beginning, the score doesn't represent the what actually happened in that game. And with that being said, let's move on to the best country in world football, Iran, playing up against Palestine. I mean, we're going to say some things that you guys may have heard if you've been following us on our own social media platforms. If not, then we're just going to say it again. But um, Iran were very good. I mean, it's hard to say that we were a bad team. The only bad side to that game, in my opinion, some people are going to have different opinions. I think John Bash was pretty poor. As for John Bash, there's this point of consistency where I believe that he's not consistent enough with the Iranian national team. And I've always said that John Bash at Feyenoord and John Bash at Iran are kind of two complete different players, in my opinion. They don't really seem to be playing the same way. Defensively, he was really good. Offensively, he wasn't good at all. Another down point would be Ezo Tolahi, KFC Tolahi. That guy, man, he's just what is he still doing there,
Oh,
man?
that guy.
He's the
He,
one
he
who pretty much
must have something on Galatasaray, some photos, I don't know, something on him. Because
pretty much
how is this guy playing 90 minutes a game?
he pretty much gave the goal to Palestine. Which was an emotional moment. I'll give it to Palestine. It was cool to see it. Hossein Kanoni he got a yellow card, man. And like I don't want to say he was horrible because he wasn't horrible, but I just prefer putting in Majid Hosseini in from now on. Osmoon scored the goal, and Sarifat scored the goal after 2 minutes. Then was Khalil Zadeh, who came off injured, which he's fine now, by the way, if anyone cares. Mehdi Raedi scored a goal as well. Beautiful finish. Probably the best team goal, I would say, at the tournament so far. Not the best goal, the best team goal. Two different things. And like I said, Osmoon scoring that goal in the 50th minute. And for Palestine, yeah, pretty much the only player that really was a threat was Tamer Sayam, who scored that goal. Other than that, yeah, I mean he plays in Morocco, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got a little bit of experience. And one shock,
He
and
plays in
that's
Thailand, I think, doesn't he?
on Footmob. He says he plays in Morocco, so I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Nevertheless, not really important. Um, and I think the talking point in Palestine's camp would be why the hell did Ode Dabar not start the game for Palestine? That was a very, very big shocker. And when he came on, he wasn't even really good, to be honest. He was very, very selfish. I don't know what he was trying to do, being 4-1 down or 3-1 down at that point. I don't know, but this Palestine team, I kind of want to say they if they continued how they played, yeah, they scored a goal against Iran, but other than that, they were pretty disappointing. Nothing really, too convincing for me at least. Um, so yeah, what do you think, F1?
Completely agree with you there. Uh, Judging off Palestine's friendly games before the tournament and some of the World Cup qualifiers, I expected a better fight, but I think Ansari Fard scoring in like the first or second minute of the game, that just killed the game off right there.
Yeah,
Um,
I agree with that. I
yeah,
agree
I
with that.
think I think if we didn't score that goal and as the game went on, it would have been harder to score. So yeah, that shows how crucial that goal by Ansari Fard really was. So moving on to Group D, Japan played Vietnam in probably one of the games of the tournament. Japan went up 1-0, courtesy of Minamino. Um, but Nguyen Din Bach scored the equalizer in the 16th minute. Then Pham Tuan Hai, who plays for Hanoi in the Vietnamese league, scored in the 33rd minute to give Vietnam the lead against Japan. And this was the moment where everyone was going crazy. Like, can it happen? Can Japan actually lose to Vietnam? Unfortunately for them, that was short-lived. Minamino scored an equalizer in the 45th minute, then Kaito Nakamura scored the third goal just before halftime to give them the 3-2 league. And then in the 85th minute, ISOE, they just finished the game off and Japan won 4-2. But what a game that was by Vietnam. And wow, they played amazingly, didn't they?
Yeah, was very close to being a shocker of the tournament. But this game, from my perspective, showed that there are cracks in this Japanese side. There are some things that they need to improve on. Zion Suzuki wasn't too great, right? A lot of people are going to say he's a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers make mistakes. Yeah, but nevertheless, he wasn't particularly too great. One that shocked me was the fullbacks. I feel like Hiroki Ito and especially Yukinari Sugawara, I think they were both just not up to standard at all. Sugawara, especially. Um, so it does show, it definitely does show that this Japanese side does have its issues. And if the bigger teams, Iran, Australia, South Korea, Saudi, and these guys, if they can find a way to get past that defense, this Japan team might be beatable. The real strong point of the Japanese side is the attack. Minamino, especially, like you said, Nakamura and Ito. These guys were all fantastic. Striker position is a little bit of a weird one, too. Mao Hosoya, who plays for Kashiwa, he wasn't that particularly great either. Now, Moriyasu was criticized for not calling up Yuya Osako, but he does have Ayase Ueda, who plays for Feyenoord. He did score a goal, so I'm presuming he's going to be starting the games now. It's hard. It's hard because Kubo didn't start either. This wasn't like Japan's like official 11, so I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a point of them not being the favorites or anymore, stuff like that. They are well over still the favorites even with this result, but it did show that there are some cracks in this team and that there is something that can be considered as their weakness, which is their defense.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I think this just proved that Japan are not guaranteed to win the title, like a lot of people were saying before the tournament. And there are some cracks that some of the bigger teams can exploit to win against them. So the other game was Iraq versus Indonesia. Indonesia played very well. They scored a great goal in 37th minute, courtesy of Marcelino. But before that, Mohamed Ali, or also known as Meme by the Iraqis, scored an amazing goal in the 70th minute. Osama Rashid scored in the 45th minute to give them the lead, but that was very, very controversial as there's footage that that goal was offside. I'm not sure why it was not given as offside. And some people say it was a new play. Some people say it didn't touch his foot, but it clearly did touch his foot. So I'm not sure what's going on there. And then the experienced player Ayman Hussein finished the game off the 57th, fifth minute. But it was a good showing by Indonesia, and I did not expect them to play like this, especially after the recent friendlies. They lost twice to Libya, and they also lost to Iran 5-0. So I thought that Iraq would easily win this game, and that certainly did not happen. It was much closer than we thought, and Indonesia had some good chances through the game, and they definitely could have scored more goals. What do you think, Arya? What do you think, especially of that second goal that Iraq scored? Because that's still bugging
Yeah,
my mind. I don't know what happened
I,
there.
I also understand your frustration. I don't know how that wasn't given offside. Um, I'm impressed in this Indonesian squad because these guys were pretty much all young players. I think the oldest player in that squad was like the left mid, who was like 26. Like it was a very young team. And it showed that they can fight, man, which is cool to see. 19-year-old Marcelino Ferdinand, what a name, by the way. He was the one who got the goal for Indonesia. Yeah, they did put on a fight. I don't think Indonesia's time is over. I think they still have a lot to prove. It's a very, very young squad. And the game against Vietnam is going to be a very interesting game. As for Iraq, I think the only guy that honestly disappointed me was Zidane Iqbal. I didn't really see him on the pitch that much. I think he played for the first 60, 70 minutes. Wasn't really there, I would say. Other than that, Ali Jassim was really good. Mohamed Ali was very good. Yeah, nothing really to take away from Iraq. I think they went there, they had what they needed to do, and they got the 3 points.
I forgot to mention something. So Danilo Al Saad, who is one of the dual nationals who plays for Iraq, uh, there's been rumors that he left the national team camp today after not playing yesterday. Now, that's just something crazy to me. I mean, you're a professional player, and after the first game of the tournament, you're just leaving the camp because you're not getting any game time. Uh, he said, I think he said that he apologized to the coaching staff and said he cannot provide to the national team, so he just left, and the players just not expected to return. So crazy what's going on there, and something similar happened for the Saudi national team, which we'll get on to later. But yeah, that's just insane to me. In Group E, we had South Korea playing Bahrain in a repeat of the round of 16 in the 2019 Asian Cup. This was a really good game. Hwang In-beom scored the first goal of the game, a great finish, amazing finish in the 38th minute. Then Abdullah Al-Hashash scored scored a good goal, decent goal in the 51st minute to tie it up. And then Lee Kang-in, man, some people say he's even more dangerous than their captain Heung-min Son, and he certainly did prove it against Bahrain. Scored 2 goals to win the game for them. But I don't know, man. I feel like South Korea, I think they got 5 or 6 yellow cards. They definitely could have gotten a red card. The first instance was early on when one of their players went knee on. So with their knees, they went on the Bahraini player's face, and he only got a yellow. It didn't even go to VAR, so I don't know why it happened. And there were some instances where some of the players could have gotten second yellows, but the Chinese referee Manning, I don't know, he was being a bit lenient. Maybe he just let it slide. And Bahrain could have definitely gotten more from this game, but they showed that they are a strong side, and I think they can challenge for one of the round of 16 spots.
As for me, yeah, it's very similar to the Japan game. I think it showed that Korea does have its weaknesses. Bahrain, you called it, man. They are that team that is gonna keep on pushing. Kang In Lee, fantastic, and Son Heung-min wasn't particularly all there either. Same as Yoo Sung Cho. I think both strikers were kind of non-existent, to be honest. Kang In Lee saved the day for Korea. He's the guy to watch for Korea, in my opinion, not Son Heung-min. And I kind of want to change my MVP predictions. I have a feeling it's going to be Kang In Lee now, just based off that first game. I don't know, but he's got like that he's him type of aura. And Kim Min Jae, the Bayern defender, also finished off with an assist, which is pretty cool to see. But like you said, the yellow cards might be an issue. And it's dangerous because, let's say if someone like Kim Min Jae gets a red card, then Korea are going to be in deep, deep trouble. That's all I really have to say for this Korean team.
Yeah, not even a red card, even if they get a second yellow, let's say in the round of
Yeah.
16, then they just missed the quarterfinal possible clash against Iran. So they have to be careful there. It could cost them. So Malaysia took on Jordan in the other game. Jordan just absolutely smashed Malaysia. Scored, I think, 5 or 6 goals, but they were given one or two were given as offside. They won 4-0. Al Mardi scored 2 goals and Al Tamari scored 2 goals. An amazing strike by Al Mardi and an amazing strike by Al Tamari in the 85th minute. Two of the best goals of the tournament so far. And wow, the quality in this Jordan team is amazing. Their striker, I think his name was Yazan, also, he got 2 assists. Malaysia were just disappointing. I mean, better in the second half, but still, uh, they just couldn't find their pace, and they struggled to create almost any chances throughout the tournament. And unfortunately for them, I think they've been the worst team in the tournament so far. What do you think, Arya?
I agree. I definitely agree. I think I was expecting a lot more from this Malaysian side, at least to put on a fight. Jordan just got the better out of him, and Jordan hasn't necessarily been all that great recently either. And I know a lot of Jordanian fans would agree and say, yeah, they were probably not expecting a 4-0 win either. They were probably expecting it to be either a tie or a very close game, to an extent. So to see them smash Malaysia 4-0 must feel good for them. Musa Tamari and Al Mahdi with just brilliant goals, like you said. Very, very curious to see what this Malaysian team is gonna bring because they play like they did against Jordan. They've heard facing next. I think they face Bahrain. It is a winnable game. It is a winnable game. But realistically, they have to get a win out of that Bahrain game to get it because they're playing Korea last. And yeah, if Jordan were able to do that against Malaysia, I don't want to imagine what Korea is going to do.
Yeah, exactly. Group F, the last group is the game's just finished about an hour or two ago. Thailand played Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan, they didn't play too badly, but they just couldn't convert their chances. And Thailand, courtesy of Supai Chai Chai did, who actually scored in 2019 Asian Cup, I remember. He got both of Thailand's goals, and that was enough for them to get a 2-0 win. In the other game, Saudi Arabia versus Oman, what a game this was. Salah Al Yahyai, who played amazingly, they're number 20. He played really, really good, some good skills, and impressed me a lot. Unfortunately, he did get injured a bit later on and had to get subbed off. But yeah, he scored Oman's penalty. It was a very unfortunate penalty given, to be honest. It was a penalty, there was contact, but it was natural, and I don't know, it's 50-50. Some people say it should have been given, some people say it was too soft, but at the end it was given and Oman did score. Abdurrahman Gharib, who came on late in the second half, it didn't take long to show why he should have started this game, or he should have came on earlier at least. Scored a brilliant solo goal in the 78th minute to tie the game up, and then with virtually the last kick of the game, Ali Al Bulahi, the captain, scored off a header, which was initially given as offside, but then after some VAR drama and the referee, I think, mistaking a signal or something, the goal was given, and Saudi Arabia ultimately won this game 2-1. So, Arya, tell me about this game. What do you think of it?
One guy that I think deserves a lot of praise in that game was Mohamed Kano. I think that guy carried Saudi Arabia up until he got subbed off. For me, the two disappointing parts for Saudi Arabia was both strikers, Al Shiri and Al Dosari. These guys were nowhere to be seen at all. But this is why we love the game, man. Late goals, VAR drama, stuff like this. It keeps you in action. It keeps you watching, and you've got to feel bad for Oman, who were this close of getting something against Saudi Arabia. And I said Oman could be a dark horse. I think they just showed it. I mean, all by them losing, they were very, very close of not losing. I think Oman will do good against the rest of the teams, but I'm intrigued to see if this is like a sort of a fluke win for Saudi Arabia because I don't want to stand here and say, yeah, they had an amazing game because they were poor for virtually the whole game until that first goal, right? So, struggling against Oman is not a good thing for a big Asian powerhouse such as Saudi Arabia. So, even if they got the win, I would not be happy if I was Saudi, right? If I was from Saudi Arabia, I wouldn't be happy at all.
Yeah, yeah, it could have been much more convincing, but coming off the situation yesterday with the press conference and Mancini and the players getting dropped, I think it's something good for Saudi, and maybe they can hope to get back on track after this. So yeah, I think that's just it for
Yeah,
today. Unless there's
yeah.
anything you want to add,
No, I'm looking forward for match day 2. Let's see what the Asian Cup can bring us, and hopefully Iran win 10-0. With that being
hopefully.
said, thank
Yeah,
you guys all for tuning in to this very short one. Just going through the games. We're gonna do the same thing next week yet again, and make sure to follow us on our YouTube channel and our Twitter accounts. All the links will be down in the description if you guys are watching on YouTube. Make sure to follow us, rate us on Spotify. All that good stuff will be there for you guys. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
bye.
Bye bye.